This is how you share your games on PS4.
Thanks.
Bravo, Sony. Bravo. You did everything right. Not everything, but you did so much right at your press conference. You destroyed Microsoft, who had a poor press conference. You destroyed EA, who had a better press conference. You destroyed Ubisoft, who had an overall good press conference, even though that they teased people out Beyond Good and Evil 2, which never showed up. Yeah, very nice. But you destroyed all of them, had an overall solid improvement from what was already a great press conference from last year. And you showed off the titles, you showed off your system, you showed off everything you needed to, except a little bit of Vita support. It would have been appreciated as somebody who owns Vita, but I digress. We'll get into that later. There were Vita titles, of course, but it wasn't a major focus. The focus was on PS3 and PS4. Anyway, once again, I apologize if I keep looking down. Again, I have a sheet of some of the major events that I was able to see at the Sony press conference. The very first few minutes, the 20 or so of them, I'd say 10 to 20, the very first 10 to 20 minutes, I wasn't able to see properly because I kept on having to change streams to get one that would actually show me what was going on instead of blurring out every 5 seconds and just kept showing me maybe a title or a sliver of an actual game or a game trailer, assuming that there was any gameplay in that game trailer. But I digress. Let's start from the very beginning of where I actually did see it. I believe we started off with Arkham Origins, sorry. This is the third title. It's the very first one by a new studio. It's also having a Vita title called Blackgate, Arkham Origins Blackgate, which I don't think they showed. They showed another CGI trailer for it. Again, CGI. They didn't show much gameplay, if any at all. I think they had Mark Hamill as the Joker again, even though that he said he was retiring. I could be wrong, correct me in the comments. But overall, I'm sure it's going to be good. I'm sure that Rocksteady, the people who originally made Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, they trusted the developer. I'm going to trust them. But again, not much gameplay, if any. I don't think there was a single bit of gameplay, so I don't have much to say on that. And then for the very beginning of the Sony press conference was good, but it wasn't up to the level of just, Microsoft, you're dead. Okay, your company is in the water, dead from a gaming point. From the gaming industry, your console's gone. Wii U, you've got a head start. Better take advantage of that. But I digress. So they then showed off music, because, you know, it's a multimedia device. Sony only does everything except show Kevin Butler, who was not there, but then again, he is in trouble with Sony after advertising on the Wii. That's a different story. So they showed that off for a little bit, which wasn't very interesting, I'll be honest. I mean, yeah, you can play music on it, whoop-de-doo. I got a phone, I got the Vita to do that, I got my 3DS to do that, I got so many devices for music. An iPod. I don't need another device for music. That was a bit ridiculous that they actually devoted any time to that. Then again, it's not like they had to show off like, oh, the Vita has been doing this well, and that's why we're giving it this. Whatever. Then they showed off Killzone Shadowfall, which, surprisingly, well, they showed it off before, and it looked even more colorful. It looked very bright and vibrant. Unlike a lot of the other gritty brown shooters, some of them that we even saw today, not at Sony's press conference, though we did see one shooter which did have a fair bit of brown that ended the conference. We'll get to that in a little bit. They showed it off. It looks promising. I'm not a huge fan of FPSs in general. I'm not really a fan of the first-person look in general at all. Like, even Skyrim, even though that it's supposed to be a first-person RPG, which I love, I play it mostly in third person, even though that it's much clunkier in third person than it is with the first person camera. But I digress. It looks fine. If you're a fan of FPS, you're probably going to enjoy what you saw there. Next thing. Infamous Second Son. The Infamous series, I think most of you know, it's a pretty good sandbox, choose what you want to do series. The idea that they're doing with this is they're going to have a different character, which I think is a good idea. A new console, they're going to have a new character. Obviously, it's the same brand, but they're getting off with a fresh start. I think the second son is because he's the brother or uncle's son. I'm not entirely sure. But they showed off his powers in a trailer. Again, there wasn't too much gameplay in it, or as far as my knowledge goes. Maybe there was. It's kind of hard to tell with some of these trailers now. But they showed it off. The last two Infamous games were really solid, so I'm sure this one is going to be good, if not even better. But who knows? We'll have to wait for more gameplay to come out to actually see it. What we did see more of was that creepy head from David Cage. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of David Cage in general. I really don't like his emotions and all this other stuff. I mean, yes, I agree with some of his stuff about video games being viewed as an art form, as a medium of art, but as a developer, I'm not very fond of his style. But the reveal that he had, I believe the game was called The Dark Sorcerer, it was funny. It wasn't exactly what I'd call a must-have. It wasn't exactly a game that I'd say, I'm really interested in this, but the technology looked fine. There was that weird little Harry Potter gremlin thingy that showed up there. I'm not entirely sure why they decided to do that. I don't know if I was the only one that noticed it, but it really did remind me of those little gremlins in Harry Potter, or whatever the heck they were. I haven't seen Harry Potter or read the books in years. Please don't kill me, Potter fans. But that was around the point where the press conference was going from good to great. Up to that point, it was good. But next title that they showed, Transistor. Tony Stark's favorite thing, transistors. It's a rehash trailer of the original one that they showed a few months back, but my god, I could watch that trailer over and over again. That music is just so beautiful. The singer, the notes, how it perfectly matches up with the gameplay. It is beautiful. It is wonderful. Go pause this video, go watch that trailer right now. It is just magnificent. And it's great that they're supporting smaller developers, which is where they started off. This was the very first strike for Microsoft's Xbox One. This is where the press conference really took it off. They're supporting indie developers. Big time. They showed off a ton of indie developers, welcomed them into the PlayStation family. Unlike Microsoft, who was like, screw the indie developers. Screw the indie developers. We've messed up so much in the press conference. It doesn't matter how many times we mispronounce things. We're going to just say, bleh, to indie developers. Who needs them? And basically, we're gonna say, oh, now they're their buddies. We need them. We need them to help us. Oh, come on, guys. We need help with our console. That's the equivalent of what happened with Microsoft at their press conference. They acted like they were buddies, the best of friends, even though that they made it so clear that it would have been so much more difficult for indie developers. Sony is making it so much easier to publish titles on there. And that's a great thing. Indie developers are on the rise. They fully deserve the support of the big three. Nintendo said that they're making it easier as well. Microsoft, shame on you. That's strike one. You all know what strike 2 and 3 are. Yes, Versus 13 actually is still here. But not in name alone. Yeah, it's Final Fantasy Versus 13. I'll be honest. I thought that it might have been Versus 13 turned to 15, but back then when that was a rumor announced on, I think it was leaked by VG247, I was highly skeptical given VG247's spotty record of actually leaking information. They've leaked some things, but they haven't leaked others. And actually the last video that I did, I actually talked about this, about how Versus 13 is vaporware. It's a PS4 exclusive, which it is. It's a PS4 exclusive now. Unlike Final Fantasy 13, which is a PS3, Xbox 360 split multi-platform title. That alone was strike 2. That could have been 2 strikes, but I'm counting that as 1. Because the fact that they brought Versus 13 back as the future of Final Fantasy, and considering everything Nomura has said about the title, including the fact that apparently Kingdom Hearts 3 is not going to be in development until it's finished, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But everything that they've said about this being the next big step for Final Fantasy hopefully will come into fruition and will hopefully be the Fabula Nova Crystallis's finale. This going from Final Fantasy 13 to the awful Final Fantasy 14, which is apparently also on PS3 now. I have no idea why they decided to release Realm Reborn and just talk about it. They mentioned it at the press conference, but nothing major. The fact that they announced this, though, was unbelievably shocking. When they said that, I thought it was just going to be them talking about that damn demo that they showed like 3 times and had nothing new to show about it. But no, Versus 13 is now 15. Thank you, Square. We now know the title actually is still there. You kept talking about it for years. You showed us nothing. The only times you responded were to confirm that it did not get destroyed. It did not get cancelled. You didn't quietly get rid of it. Thank you for finally confirming that it still does exist. And now that it's Final Fantasy 15, since it's not Versus 13 technically, I guess they can start working on Kingdom Hearts 3. The other big title. Strike 3. Microsoft, you're out. But they're not done yet. Microsoft tries to steal the base, and they just get pummeled. But Kingdom Hearts 3, they didn't show too much. They basically showed a montage like, okay, Kingdom Hearts, Chain of Memories, 2, etc., all the titles, and then Kingdom Hearts 3D, which I believe had a message that said, it all leads up to Kingdom Hearts 3. They showed it off. Wild crowd. The crowd during this entire period was wild, and I was right along with it. I was like, yes, this is exactly what the PlayStation 4 needs. These titles are exactly what they need. These are the titles that will sell a next-gen system. I don't know when they're going to be out, 2014, 2013, who knows. We'll see at TGS. I don't think they've released a release date for either of those in general. But those 2 titles from Square. Thank you, Square. Okay, thank you. If you can announce a Chrono Trigger sequel, a Chrono sequel in general, and The World Ends With You 2 not being a troll move by you, I forgive you completely. I will completely forgive you for every little mishap that you've done, even though that you really messed up with your big franchises, like with Hitman and Tomb Raider. And the sales with those. But let's get back to the Sony press conference. Then after that, they showed Assassin's Creed 4. Assassin's Creed 4 has been shown a ton. We didn't need to show more of it. It looks good. It doesn't look like it's for me. I love pirates, ninjas, all that. I doubt that they're ever going to make an Assassin's Creed ninja game. Well, actually, they really should make a ninja game right after this. Not right after, of course. Give it a year. Give the franchise a rest for at least a year. Ubisoft, please. Go back and make Beyond Good and Evil 2, please. Anyway, they showed that there was a huge problem. For some reason, it just glitched out. And Watch Dogs shows up. That's, convenient. Kind of odd, considering, Watch Dogs, which I'm just gonna say right now, they showed off way too much. Like, I'm already ready to go out and get the game. Like, I don't need any more convincing. You showed it off, I think, 3 times today. Well, yesterday. By the time I upload this, it's probably going to be tomorrow, which would be today. You've shown this off already. You've shown this off with various trailers. Those 4 limited editions that you've announced. And apparently, Sony's giving free content. An hour of content is going to be on the PS3 and PS4 versions of Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed 4, which, again, they're just pummeling Microsoft into the ground with this press conference from then on. The fact that they actually had that, and it looks quite good, not just from a graphical perspective, but I really like the idea that you're this good guy, but you're using this horrible tactic. You're taking people's information. You're basically blackmailing them, trying to arrest them. You're a vigilante. You're basically V from Vendetta or Hugo Weaving. Either way, this guy I believe the character's name was Aiden. I cannot wait to play the story and figure out what his deal is. I want to know why exactly they started this idea. I want to know what drove Ubisoft to make this title. I am fully convinced of this title. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Ubisoft, stop showing off everything about this title. I want some surprises when I go to play it. Okay? We good? Then they dipped down. They showed a sports title with LeBron James. It's expected. They had to show off some sports titles. I'm gonna be honest, sports titles are probably my least favorite genre. But sports, I'm sure that people enjoy playing them. I enjoy playing sports. I'm talking about the actual sports titles. I'm sure people enjoy playing those, but I have no interest in any sports titles unless it's like a new NBA Jam. But then they came back and they had Mad Max. You know, that movie that happened before Mel Gibson went insane. Probably before he got to Thunderdome. But I don't know, did he get beyond Thunderdome? I mean, can't we just all get beyond Thunderdome? I couldn't resist. But that is going to be interesting to see. I think they're working on a Mad Max 4, by the way, as well. In case you're wondering, don't type in the comments, oh, they're making a Mad Max 4. It's going to be a tie-in like what they did with Star Trek. Even though the Star Trek game was really bad. Hopefully that doesn't happen with this one, assuming that that Mad Max game ties in at around the same time as the Mad Max 4 that's supposedly happening. But who knows? Elder Scrolls Online. When they first showed off Elder Scrolls Online, it wasn't like Skyrim. It wasn't like your traditional Elder Scrolls Oblivion. It wasn't like those. This one seems to be more or less taking a page out of Skyrim and Oblivion. And it looks good. I'm not sure that I would say that I'm sold on it, either on PC, PS4. I liked Skyrim a lot. It's one of my favorite titles of this generation. But I don't know. I have to see more of this one. I'm not exactly impressed with it so far. I'm sure it's going to be fun. I trust Bethesda. I'm not exactly sure that I would say I trust them with Prey 2, but Elder Scrolls Online. Who knows? And then this was the best part of the press conference. Sony just gets right into them. They just get right into everything about the console. They say, we support used games. We're not going to have you checked up every 24 hours. They destroyed Microsoft's online with PSN Plus, the free offerings that they're giving it, expanding it even further. However, if you want to play your games online on the PS4, you have to have PSN Plus, which is a minor gripe. A very minor gripe, along with the fact that they didn't really show off too many Vita titles. I think there was the Assassin's Creed 4 with Evelyn, or I forget the name from the Assassin's Creed Liberation 3. But they showed off that. They showed off that they were going to have even more titles for PSN, and they just destroyed them when it came to used games. They had this demonstration where it's like, here's how you have your online. You can have your friends share your games no matter what. You don't have to be online for that. The online, you don't have to be acting like you're some freaking thief. We're not going to treat you like you're a freaking thief. We trust our customers. We trust our customers, and we give them the same right that they are entitled to. We're not going to hold them on the leash and act like they're the problem. That's how you do it. That was perfect. That is exactly what I wanted to hear. And the best part, I complained about Microsoft's their price being a little bit too high at $500 given the economy. $400. $400. After Sony's $599 US dollars, $599 US dollars, they learned. They screwed up last generation. Let's all admit that. They've recovered. They've been getting much better every year. But they learned from that. That is unbelievable. I was hoping that Sony would be able to price it fairly. For $400, that is excellent. I mean, yes, no backwards compatibility which does suck, but you're going to be able to stream the games. They did announce that as well. I believe you can also stream games on PS Vita, which would be amazing. This is where they just destroyed Microsoft. And then, after that, they ended it with Destiny. They had this entire demonstration of Destiny, Bungie's new shooter. It looks like they're mixing up Halo. I'd say Halo with Borderlands. They're mixing it up with something like that. Maybe Rage, Borderlands, and Halo all mixed together in one. And it looks pretty good. Like, as I said, I'm not a huge fan of FPSs, but it looks good for an FPS. Both visually and as far as mechanics go, it looks like it's going to be a ton of fun. And they just nailed that ending. They showed off that title, Destiny. It's an experience that you want on your PlayStation 4. That's what you want. That's what I wanted to hear. These are the experiences. These are the games that you want on your PS4, on your PS3, on your PS Vita, even though we didn't really support the Vita. I really do like the Vita. I really do want it supported more. But I digress. Sony, you set a very high bar for Nintendo. I will say that right now. People are going to be wondering what I think of Nintendo's by the time I upload this. I'm just going to say it right now. You set a very high bar for Nintendo. By the time I finish this video and upload it, I'll probably be asleep. I will wake up, I will watch Nintendo's press conference, and I will probably not be as excited as I was after watching this. This was a perfect press conference. Microsoft's, I'd give it a D+. This is an A. A solid A press conference. They showed every single thing that I wanted to see. Great games, great exclusives, indie support, the ability to have used games, no online DRM, a good price point, and I believe they said a holiday release. That's everything that I wanted to hear. That is everything that I wanted to hear from this press conference. Every single detail that they had nailed every single one of my concerns that I had for the PS4 that they did not answer at that point. Sony, bravo to you. I would tip my hat if I had a hat. But bottom line, you rocked this press conference. Nintendo, you have a lot to live up to in the next few hours. By the time this video goes up, it'll probably be a few hours. So, until then, until I have to talk about Nintendo and whatever they show, game on, my friends, and long live the PS4. God, that sounded corny.